So don't Good morning and welcome to another interesting edition of the program TVN Business Time. It's a program where we take you to the world of business from Nigeria. Elsewhere in Nigeria, we look at the exchange rate of the Naira as it stands with some major currencies across the world. We'll also bring you a wrap-up of the stock market report as it stands as a close of business yesterday. And of course, a snippet of what is happening in the US and the Asian market as at yesterday and of course towards the early morning of today. My name is Nten Ekpang and I'm happy to be your host this morning. And so without much ado, let's go to what the headlines are saying this morning. In Nigeria, banks' credit to economy dropped by 136 billion in first quarter of 2018, says NBS in Nigeria. And then second story, Sterling Bank launches Hajj savings plan for Muslims. On the foreign scene, RBS boss to face MPs over branch closures, and Air France shares drop sharply as strikes continues. Now, those are the stories we have on the headline. And moving on to the details of those stories. In Nigeria, the first story, banks' credit to economy dropped by 136 billion in first quarter. According to that story, the total credit from banks to the economy recorded a decline of 135.8 billion from the initial 15.74 trillion at the end of the fourth quarter of last year to 15.6 trillion in the first 3 months of 2018. This is contained in the banking sector report released by the National Bureau of Statistics just yesterday, Monday. The NBS stated that the total number of staff members in banks decreased by 0.93% from 90,453 in the first quarter of 2017 to 89,608 in the first quarter of this year. It said in the first quarter of this year, the sector recorded a total volume of 457 transactions, 226 transactions valued at about 32.48 trillion naira. According to the report, data from the electronic payment channels in the Nigerian banking sector revealed that automated teller machine transactions dominated the volume of transactions during the period. It stated that there were 212,370,853 ATM transactions valued at 1.56 trillion naira that were recorded in the first quarter of the year 2018. And moving on to our second story on the national scene, Sterling Bank launches Hajj savings for Muslims. And according to that story, the non-interest banking group of Sterling Bank PLC has entered into a partnership with Nasrul Lahil Faith Society of Nigeria towards helping Muslim faithful to fulfill their holy pilgrimage obligation to Mecca in Saudi Arabia. According to a statement on Monday, the bank has introduced a savings plan for Muslims aiming to go on the holy pilgrimage. It said towards creating awareness among the over 1 million members of NASFAT, the bank had signed a memorandum of understanding with TAFSAN, the investment arm of NASFAT. The statement quoted the divisional head in institutional banking, Sterling Bank PLC, Tunde Adeola, as commending NASFAT and TAFSAN for the novel savings plan, which he said will make Hajj pilgrimage more of a success and accessible and easier for intending pilgrims to achieve. According to Adeola, the idea of the Hajj savings plan is to help Muslims address the rising financial implications of embarking on Hajj on a yearly basis, which has made it difficult for some Muslims to go on the holy pilgrimage. And let's go on to the next story now on the national scene. E-payment transactions grew by 10% to 32 trillion naira in first quarter of 2018. And according to that story, the value of electronic payments in Nigeria rose by 10% to 32.5 trillion the first quarter of 2018 from 29.4 trillion in fourth quarter of 2017. Meanwhile, Nigerians withdrew 1.6 trillion naira through automated teller machines ATM in the first 3 months of 2018, showing a 13% decline when compared with the 1.83 trillion naira recorded in the fourth quarter of 2017. Analysis of the data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, the NBS, last weekend indicated that ATM transactions dominated the volume of electronic transactions, which stood at 202.4 million in first quarter 2018, representing a decline of 11.4% compared to 239.7 million in the fourth quarter of 2017. Further analysis showed that volume and value of point of sale POS transactions stood at 54 million and 474.7 billion in fourth quarter of 2018 compared to that of 48 million and 435 billion in 2017. NIPS instant payment increased in volume and value by 12% to 139.8 million and 17.8 billion against 122.9 million and 15.7 billion recorded in the fourth quarter of 2017. NIPS electronic and fund transfer, that's NEFT, recorded a decline in volume by 22.2% and value by 11% to 9 million and 3.7 billion in first quarter 2018. From the 11 million and 4.1 billion in the fourth quarter of 2017, respectively. And to our final story on business scene today, ATM transactions hit 32.48 trillion naira in first quarter of 2018. And according to that story, a total volume of automated teller machine transactions rose to 32.48 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2018. The National Bureau of Statistics revealed this in its quarterly report on selected banking sector data, which includes sectoral breakdown of credit, e-payment channels, and staff strength posted on its website on Monday. According to MBS, a total volume of 457,226,406 transactions valued at 32.8 trillion naira was recorded in the quarter under review, talking about the first 3 months of the year. The report, which was sourced from data on electronic payment channel in the Nigerian banking sector revealed that ATM transactions dominated the volume of transactions recorded with 212,370,853 volume of ATM transactions valued at 1.568 billion naira, and that were all recorded in the first quarter of 2018. In terms of credit to private sector, the total value of credit allocated by the banking sector stood at 15.60 trillion as at first quarter 2018. Oil and gas and manufacturing sectors got credit allocation of 3.42 trillion naira and 2.07 trillion to record the highest credit allocation as at the period under review. However, the report further revealed that as at first quarter 2018, the total number of banks staff decreased by 0.93 from 90,453 in the third quarter of 2017. And those are the stories we have for you on the national business scene. We'll now take a short break. When we come back, we'll bring you international business report. Stay with TVN Business Time. For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that their country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents want to control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria. Welcome back from that break. You're still watching TVN Business Time with me on 10. Of Nigeria and indeed Africa, and top on our stories, RBS boss to face MPs over branch closures. And according to that story, the boss of the Royal Bank of Scotland is due to appear before MPs to explain why the bank plans to close scores of branches across Scotland. RBS Chief Executive Ross McQueen will give evidence to the Scottish Affairs Committee at Westminster. It planned the bank to close 62 branches and the announcement of a partial reprieve of 10 of those. Committee member Deirdre Brooks said the bank still has plenty of questions to answer about the planned closures. The SNP MP also said more details were needed on plans for the 10 branches reprieved after a campaign by the SNP and community leaders. Moving to the next story now on the foreign scene. Air France shares drop sharply as strike continues. According to that report, shares in Air France fell 14% in early Monday trading, that's yesterday, reacting to the latest events at the troubled airline. It was the first chance investors had to respond to Chief Executive Jean-Marc's resignation and comments by France's economy minister. Mr. Jean-Marc's move came after staff at the loss-making airline rejected a new pay deal and continued their industrial action in pursuit of a 5.1 pay rise. And on Sunday, Minister Bruno Le Maire warned Air France could disappear. The French government owns 14.3% of the Air France KLM parent group. Monday's walkout is the fourth day of action. And despite the strike, the airline insisted that it will be able to maintain 90% of long-haul flights on Monday, 80 of medium-haul services, and 87 of short-haul flights. And let's get to the next story now. Walmart expected to announce to buy India's Flipkart. Walmart is expected to announce that it is buying a majority stake in Indian e-commerce firm Flipkart later this week. Despite reports that rival Amazon tried to disrupt the transaction. The U.S. grocery 5% of Flipkart for about $15 billion, according to numerous media reports. The two firms first held talks in 2016. Amazon is Flipkart's chief rival in India's fast-growing online retail sector. Registered users and said it facilitates more than 8 million each. And SoftBank, despite posting losses. And moving on to the very last story on the foreign scene before we move to what is happening in the Nigerian stock market for today. And the story is Nestle pays Starbucks $7.1 billion to sell its coffee. And according to that story, Nestle has announced that it will pay Starbucks $7.1 billion. That's about 5.2 billion pounds to sell the company's coffee products. The Swiss giant, which bears Nescafe and Nespresso amongst its brands, will have the right to market Starbucks coffee in retail outlets outside the coffee chain. That part of the business currently generates $2 billion in annual sales. The deal means Nespresso machine owners will be able to buy Starbucks coffee branded pods for use at home. Consumers will also find Starbucks coffee beans, ground and instant coffee more readily available as Nestle, the world's largest food and drinks company, uses its vast distribution network to market Starbucks' products worldwide. Nestle's name will not appear alongside Starbucks, but the deal could still help Nestle strengthen its U.S. business thanks to the powerful high street coffee brand. And those are the stories we have for you on the international business scene. We'll now go straight to the stock market report, but we'll take a short break. When we come back, it's going to be time to tell you what is happening right now, especially at the close of business yesterday on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching TVN Business Time. Just before that break, it was the international business. Now let's go to the stock market report and tell you that as at the close of business yesterday, these are the top 5 advancers. And we have on the top of that is Dangote Cement. Dangote Cement opened last close 245.5 naira, currently 248, and the change was that of 2.5, gaining 1.02%. Eternal was second on the list, opening 5.7, closing 6.3 to gain 0.56, and that's a percentage of 9.76%. Guinness Nigeria opened 103.5 naira, closed at 104 naira to gain 0.5, and that's a percentage of 0.48%. Owando opened 8 naira 35 kobo, closed 8 naira 75 kobo to gain 0.4, that's a percentage of 4.79, while May Baker opened 2 naira 66 kobo, closed 2 naira 75 kobo, gaining 0.0 naira, that's a percentage of 3.38%. Now those were the top 5 advancers. Now let's go to those who declined at the end of business yesterday. And on the decliners, we have Nigerian breweries, that's NB, opening 129 naira, closing 128, losing -1, and that's a percentage of -0.78%. Stanbic IBTC also was on the decliners table, opening 49.5 naira, closing 49.1, losing -4, and that is a percentage of 0.81, -0.81%. First Bank of Nigeria Holding, that's FBNH, opened on 12 naira 3 kobo, closed 11 naira 95 kobo, and it lost -0.35, that's a percentage of -2.85. Guarantee Trust Bank was also on the decliners table, opening at 45 naira 3 kobo, closing 45 naira 05 kobo. That's a percentage of -0.55%. And finally, on the decliners table is UAC Pro, and that opened at 2 naira 46 kobo, closed 2 naira 34 kobo, losing a percentage of -4.88. And let's take you to the top 5 trades, product that traded on the top, where number 1 is Lasaco. Lasaco opened 24 million to close about 9,673,234.15. That was the volume that traded at the value of that. And of course, Guarantee Trust Bank had a volume of 20,681,000, excuse me, 606 naira volume. And then the value of that was about 937,571,983.05 kobo. Souvenirs traded the volume of 16,589,334 to close at the value of 3,633,762 naira 24 kobo. And Benefit also traded among the top 5, opening 15,936,326 volume, valued at 4,302,564.02. And Sterling Bank was at the bottom of the top 5 trades. And let's take you to the next, which is the exchange rate of the naira as it stands with some major currencies today, talking about specifically the US dollar, the British pound, as well as the euro. Well, for this morning, it's trading at 360, that's for the US dollar, 360 naira for the buying price, and it's selling at 362. The British pound has dropped to 496 as at 500 last week, and is selling at 502, while the euro is buying at 427 naira and is selling for 435. Now let's take you to the Asian market as it stands today, and bring you all of the details that have transpired in the Asian market. Let's start with the Asian market right now. And in Asia this morning, the Nikkei 125 index closed on a positive note, gaining plus 0.26%. Nikkei 300 index also gaining positive, plus 0.41%. The Hang Seng index also closing on a positive note, gain plus 1.40%. The FTSE Straits Times index also closing on a positive note, plus 0.34%. The all AXS all ordinaries index also closing on a positive note, plus 0.08%. S&P/ASX mid-cap 50 index lost and closed minus 0.53%, while the S&P AS 100 index closed on a positive note. And let's take you now to the next one, which is the U.S. market. In the U.S. market, trading this morning, Dow Jones Industrial Average is closing on a positive note, as you can see, 0.39%. The Nasdaq Composite Index also on a positive note, plus 0.77%. The S&P 500 Index, positive note, 0.35%. The Global Dow Real-Time USD, plus 0.19%, also on a positive note, while the Dow Jones Utility Average is on the negative and is trading at minus 0.57%. The NYSE, that's the New York Stock Exchange Composite Index, on a positive note, on plus 0.21%. The New York Stock Exchange American Composite Index also positive, plus 0.40%. The Russell 2000 Index plus 0.85, that's on a positive note. The PHLX Semiconductor Index plus 0.91%. The Gold June 2018 on the negative note, that's closing minus 0.05%. The CBOE 30-year Treasury bond closing positive on plus 0.16%, while the CBOE 10-year Treasury note also closed on a positive note, gaining plus 0.20%. Now, those are all of the data and statistics this morning, trading at the close of business yesterday on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and of course this morning, what is happening outside of here, specifically in the US and in the Asian market. Now, just before we call it a wrap on today's program, let's go back to bring you the headlines. And we did tell you that in the headlines for today, banks' credit to the economy dropped by 136 billion in the first quarter of 2018. This is according to the National Statistics Bureau of Statistics, the NBS. And Sterling Bank launches high savings plan for Muslims. That was on the national scene. And on the foreign scene, RBS, the Royal Bank of Scotland boss, is to face MPs over plan to close branches, while Air France shares dropped sharply as strikes continues. And those are all the details we have for you today on the program TVN Business Time. We definitely will be right back tomorrow with more news on the business scene. Until then, we'd like to thank you very much for watching. Do enjoy the rest of our programs and have a fabulous day. My name is Ten Ekbang. Bye-bye.